All right, we are back. I've just got a fresh haircut. I am jacked up on caffeine. Let's get into this next video. All about how training to failure builds muscle, how it actually works, what you need to look out for, and overall, just generally, the benefits of it, really. So why hard just isn't enough? Everyone has a different measurement of hard. Hard can be, oh, I train 6 days, or I train 3 days, I do powerlifting. Like, it's not a measurable thing. This is where data is really important to be tracking to understand exactly what hard training means. So hard sometimes isn't effective. We need to be making sure that we're training close to failure, which sends a signal that allows muscle to grow. And we're going to get into that. So a lot of people train hard. Very few train in a way that forces muscles to adapt. You see plenty of guys coming into the gym, essentially just being in the gym. It's not enough. You need to be really getting after it, and this is why it can be very difficult. The more advanced you get, the harder that you have to train. Because muscle doesn't grow because a workout felt tough. It grows because the right fibers were stressed enough. This is why data is important. If you don't have the data on this stuff, it's going to become very difficult to understand if you're actually progressing or even training close to failure. This is why filming your lifts is very important as well. So what is muscle actually trying to do? All its job is just to produce force. So you can see this guy here pushing this box, and that's all the job is of muscle mass. He's just trying to push it this way. That's what muscle does. It just produces force. So muscle exists to produce force against resistance. So when force demand exceeds what the muscle can easily handle, the body asks, do I need to add more muscle to actually be able to lift this weight next time, or to just generally survive? That question is how you fucking grow. The key idea here is, like, muscle just doesn't respond to weight. It responds on how close to the failure limit you take that weight. This is really important. This is the key here. It doesn't respond to how much weight's on the bar. It responds on how close to failure you get. This is the difference between if you're powerlifting or if you're trying to build muscle mass. So mechanical tension is the real growth signal. Well, what does that mean? It just means that it's sending a cellular signal to allow your muscle fibers to adapt and essentially reproduce. So inside the muscle cell, there are mechanosensor structures that detect strain. So how much of an effort is that set? That's strain. When the tension is high enough and sustained, those sensors trigger growth pathways through signaling you through mTOR and protein synthesis, which you've probably heard before, which is essentially using proteins to send to those muscles for them to adapt and grow. The muscle cell senses strain, not, again, the numbers on the barbell, on the machine, or whatever it may be. So this is why you can use light weights, you can use heavy weights, and we'll get into that down into the video as well. So why does this matter? Like, what's the proximity to failure? Why does it matter? It's all about motor units, and there's high and low threshold motor units that we want to recruit. So your muscle fibers are recruited in layers. The easy reps, the start of the set, that's really low threshold fibers. Now the hard reps, as you get closer to that failure point, you know, those sort of hard 5 to 3 reps before failure, those are the ones that have the most growth potential. You don't fully recruit these fibers just by getting a pump. So this is why pump work and essentially looking pumped and things like that, you don't grow from that. You need to be making sure that you're carrying that set all the way. They're forced to join only when the fatigue rises, when those reps are really slowing down. So training close to failure is how you force the body to react all available muscle fibers. Now, if you want to see what this looks like, I've got plenty of training vlogs of myself and Liana training. This is a real life application. Go and watch those videos and see how hard we actually train at our level to try and grow. So if you stop early, the tension drops. Recruitment stays incomplete. You just get a pump and it does nothing. And the growth signal is really weak. This is why year after year, you probably look the same if you're not taking your sets really close to this failure point with good form. So effective reps without this fucking science-based bullshit, the last 5 reps is a great measurement of this is the growth zone. Are your last 5 reps slowing down? These are the ones that really matter. They're close to failure. These are where the tension's going to be highest, and full recruitment means that you're going to be fatiguing, which means you're going to be growing. So this doesn't matter whether you're doing 6 reps or 20 reps. The last few is where the signal really peaks and you get the most out of your set. So muscle growth doesn't just happen evenly. It doesn't happen from rep 1. It happens in those last really high strain, slow contracting, really hard sets. And I like to say, if the reps aren't slowing, you're not growing. So failure doesn't mean it's just sloppy and you're just throwing the weight around. It doesn't mean that we're just training to chaos and we're just throwing and we're pushing, we're using all our body to fucking move the weight. It's like, no, we need to be making sure that the reps are of very high quality, hitting that target muscle with really good technique. So we're not bouncing, we're not shortening the range, and again, we're not trying to use momentum to throw the weight up, because again, that is going to interrupt the tension. So clean reps taken close to failure beats ugly reps all the fucking time. So remove that ego hat and go in and make sure that you look in really fucking, all those reps are looking sexy, as I like to say. So load, reps, and failure. Anywhere between 5 to 30 works if you're training close to failure. So this is the latest research from hypertrophy. It occurs across a wide range of rep ranges. This is why with my programs with my guys, they have heavier, more complex movements and lighter, more reps, and as fatigue sort of grows throughout the training program, and you're still able to push quite hard. So heavy loads reach failure faster, lighter loads need more reps. But the common denominator is proximity to failure. So failure is the equalizer across all rep ranges. You still need to be making sure that you're chasing close to those reps slowing down, regardless of the rep range. And so what actually changes inside? So we create tension, this sends a signal, and then protein is built. That's the simple way of looking at it, which I'm all about simple. I am not very intelligent, so this is the simplest way. So after a hard set, growth signaling increases. The muscle, then protein synthesis rises, and over time, the repeated exposure with builds larger muscle fibers, greater force capacity so you can lift more weight, and a muscle that can tolerate more load. So failure is the message, but recovery and good measured nutrition is the construction phase. If you don't have good raw materials coming in, you can forget about all of this effort going to use. We need to be making sure that this is still a very, very high quality lifestyle change as well. So the reality of recovery, if we have the signal, but we don't have any raw materials coming in, we're not going to get the result. So training to failure sends the signal, but sleep, food, and stress determine whether the signal is actually acted on. The high intensity training without recovery is just fatigue. It's not growth. This is why, I'm all about making sure that the training program that you're doing suits your lifestyle, because you need to be putting in the level of intensity across those workouts consistently for a long time to see growth. And again, the harder you train, the more your lifestyle has to be in line with that. So this is the full formula. We want to create mechanical tension. This enables high recruitment of fibers, and then training that close to proximal failure and making sure that we recover and have the raw materials to support it. Because training to failure builds muscle because it forces your body to admit it's not strong enough yet, and then it gives a reason to change. So this is my 3-year transformation from following this exact methodology. If you are interested in a similar transformation for your own physique, please reach out for me on the Instagram DM that I have down below.